If your team feels divided but no one's arguing, it's because separation doesn't require conflict. It requires diffusion. And division at work doesn't always come from loud disagreements or open resistance. Some of the most damaging behavior never raises its voice. It actually separates. So let's have a real conversation about what it's like for leaders dealing with difficult people. I'm Brenda Neckvatal, and I help the strongest leaders deal with the messiest people. So early in my career, I believed division would be obvious. I thought someone would push back in meetings. I expected visible tension, and I assumed disagreement would show itself. Well, guess what? That belief actually cost me time, it cost me trust, and it cost me credibility. Because the most effective dividers don't confront anyone directly, they actually stay clean. They agree in the room, but they stay quiet when decisions are being made. They never challenge authority where it's visible. And that's exactly why leaders miss them. Here's how it actually works. So, in the meeting, everything looks great. Everything looks aligned, right? Heads are nodding. There's no objection. I can't say it. Objections. Welcome to my world. No objections to anything. Decisions move forward. But after the meeting, fragments start to surface. Someone starts to feel unsure. Someone is confused, and someone is questioning the direction. Each fragment sounds perfectly reasonable, and each concern feels worth addressing. And leaders do what good leaders do, and they listen. But what they don't realize is that they're carrying the division forward themselves. Now, I've lived this. I worked with somebody who absolutely mastered this pattern. Right? They never challenged me publicly. They never raised concerns in the room, and they never pushed back when decisions were made. Instead, they checked in with others afterward, just seeing how people were feeling, just validating concerns, and just asking questions. No single conversation ever crossed a line. But the pattern did, and concerns started sounding widespread. Doubt felt cultural, and alignment felt really fragile. And every time I heard a fragment, I took it really seriously. And that's how division spreads, not through arguments, but through repetition without ownership. It's like another form of manipulation, right? The employee stays off the record, never accountable, never traceable. But meanwhile, the leader feels like they're managing a team issue. They're not. They're actually managing a diffusion issue. And this is where leaders will get stuck because the behavior doesn't look inappropriate in isolation. There's no conflict, there's no confrontation to address, there's no policy to enforce, and there's no moment to call it out. Just a slow erosion of cohesion. And the team, they feel this immediately. People start choosing sides without really honestly knowing why. And conversations, they start to get really shorter. And the meetings, they start feeling guarded. Why? Because everybody's defenses are up. Collaboration now turns into comparison. Alignment looks intact on the surface, but underneath that trust, it thins out. And this is the cost that leaders will overlook. Trust decay. When information travels sideways instead of forward, teams stop believing in the process. People start filtering decisions based on who they heard it from instead of what was decided. Execution slows because no one is fully confident in what's real anymore. And this is when leaders feel something is wrong, but they can't pinpoint it because there's no fights, there's no blowups, there's just this unexplained fragmentation. So my turning point came when I stopped treating it as a team problem and started tackling the conversational patterns. Now, the moment that I did, that picture, it sharpened. The division didn't come from disagreement. It actually came from indirect influence. I didn't know it existed. Strong leaders, they don't chase argument built in the hallways, right? They anchor it in the room and they redirect secondhand concerns back to the source. They require people to speak where decisions are made and they collapse side conversations into direct ones. That does not escalate conflict, it actually prevents it. It's a different form of expectation that you wouldn't necessarily think to bring into the room because quiet division survives because it never gets addressed. It grows in the gaps between the meetings and it feeds on silence. And it thrives where leaders actually stay focused on outcomes, but they're missing certain patterns that are leading to all this. But the solution isn't confrontation for the sake of confrontation. It's structure. Clear expectations are where concerns are raised. This is how you lead the room. Clear boundaries about how argument is built. This is how you lead the room. And clear reinforcement that influence belongs where decisions are made. That's how you lead the room. So when leaders do this, division loses its oxygen because it can't survive out in the open. It's impossible. This is exactly the kind of situation leaders second guess in the moment. Nothing feels urgent enough to interrupt, but also nothing feels obvious enough to call it out. And yet the damage compounds quietly. And this is exactly why I built my app. It exists for moments like this. When something feels off, but nothing is over, when leaders are dealing with difficult people, toxic behavior, or group dynamics that don't really come with the script, that's what this is for. Leaders use it to slow the moment down, identify the pattern, and choose responses that protect alignment instead of accidentally spreading division. So let's have a real conversation about what it's like for leaders dealing with difficult people. Because you don't need to wait for open conflict to protect cohesion. You don't need to manage whispers. The link to the app, it's below, because strong leadership isn't about forcing agreement. It's about protecting where influence flows. Because division will only work when it stays indirect. And the moment leaders pull it into the open, alignment has a chance to recover.